This is the matchup we all wanted. NFC supremacy, a spot in Super Bowl 60. A muff punt turns into a double-digit deficit for the Los Angeles Rams.
I mean, it has been a raucous night tonight.
Rams down 4, 31-27. Fourth down, looking end zone. He fires. It is incomplete.
The Seahawks in the driver's seat. The Seahawks win, and the Seahawks are going back to the Super Bowl. Yeah!
Incredible game in the NFC last night. Thanks in large part to both quarterbacks putting on a show. Just the second playoff game ever where both quarterbacks had 3 passing touchdowns and no picks. The other was that never forgotten 2021 divisional game between Allen and Mahomes, the 13 seconds game. Allen lost that game. Stafford ends up on the short end yesterday, leaving many questions about his future.
John, do you expect Matthew Stafford to be back next season?
Yeah, if he still wants to play, what the hell kind of question is that? The answer, yeah. You have to ask him. We've been totally present. I know that if he wants to, he's still playing at a pretty damn good clip. I mean, he's the MVP of the league, and if he's not, I got respect for everybody else, but this guy played at a level that's just different.
I can't generalize, 6 months of my life, 10 minutes after a loss. So appreciate the guys in this locker room a whole hell of a lot. Everybody that helped me, and helped our team be as successful as we were this year. And that's all I'll answer for you.
What were you just saying, D-Wood?
That is kind of crazy. The fact that you would ask a guy like Matt Stafford 10 minutes after a game like that, are you coming back to play next year? Yeah. What are we doing here? Yeah. That's the thing. Listen, as a person that's in the media, that was one of the things that frustrated me about the media. It's like, do you not understand the emotional toll when you lose a game like that, and then you're going to ask me if I'm going to be back, right after that game? It's like,
but hold on.
It's stupid. It's silly.
It is stupid, silly, but it is the job, because there are not going to be many times that they have access to Matthew Stafford so they can ask him and to get his reaction. It's not something that is comfortable or common, but it has to be done, and I understand where you're coming from. That's just the job, unfortunately.
The reality, and Sean McVay seemed like some exception to the question. No one is asking, is Matthew Stafford capable of coming back again? The question is, at this age and this stage of his life, does he want to come back for another season? And it's easy to understand why 10 minutes after a crushing, heartbreaking loss, he hasn't made up his mind yet, and one would assume it'll take him a little time to make up his mind.
And these things are fluid, too. There have been plenty of times, I'm sure you've seen this, where a player thinks he's had enough, and then he takes a month or 2 months and he wants to play, or he wants to play and then he takes the time and says, I don't want to do it again. People change their minds. So you're asking for someone's thoughts at that moment, which doesn't mean it's certainly permanent, but they're looking to get some sort of indication. And the indication has been that Matthew Stafford would like to play next year, but needs some time to think about it and process it.
What is your expectation, again, for those who are not aware? Dan, obviously, and Stafford, teammates forever, very close friends. I'm not asking you to betray any confidences here, but is your expectation he'll play another year?
Yeah, I would have thought the only way he did not play next year was if he won MVP and won the Super Bowl. I would have thought, all right, that's the good way to go out type of thing.
Right off
John
into the
Elway
sunset.
type.
Yeah.
I would think just because of the way that they played this year, that he played this year, and the youth of their football team, that I hope he plays. I know this, to have 5,000 yards throughout the course of the year and 50-plus touchdowns, you're as good as, in throwing it, as good as anybody in the NFL. So I hope he plays.
Okay. You know who doesn't want him to play? Every other team in the league.
Yeah.
Like, no way in hell you want to see it. This guy right here. Look, my advice to Stafford is this: retirement is overrated. All right, so play while you can.
There's some truth to that now.
He's such a. Right now he's at the top of his game. It's one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen a quarterback have. And here's the crazy thing. There was rumors that they were trying to trade him in the offseason last year.
That came up. It was a mutual type of thing where they were exploring it, and he was exploring it, and they were exploring. And wisely, nothing happened. Yeah. He wasn't traded. And unwisely, the teams that were interested in him didn't get deals done, because Matthew Stafford obviously can play at a high level. But again, we're talking about him coming back. One of the reasons that he played this year, that he liked playing so much, is his girls are now old enough to see what he's doing, and they're into the football. Next year, they're another year older. Again, he has to take some time, but we would think that that'll be the case.
So for Stafford, we'll see what winds up happening. And again, for those just joining us here, we reiterate, Stafford had a brilliant game last night. The offense was brilliant last night. But for the last few months, and generally speaking, this team was let down by its defense and its special teams.
Yeah, absolutely, Grinny. Look, this defense overrated as hell. The last 9 games, they gave up scoring drives on 40% to the opposition. 40%. So this goes back to November. That's when this slide started.
Yes.
You know, right about the time we were going to say this guy is the next Don Shula. No, he isn't. And to me, that's part of the problem. You saw communication errors in the back end.
Yeah.
They've struggled to especially in the deep patrol. So to me, that's who lets them down. Now, can they improve it? Absolutely. But it's got to be fixed by personnel has to get better and maybe something else.
This game came down to Chris Shula versus Clint Kubiak. And Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for Seattle, ran circles around him. If I was a head coaching or a team that needed head coaches, he'd be on my short list now if he wasn't already.
Clint Kubiak.
Oh, my gosh. He was phenomenal
Here's
yesterday.
the problem. If you didn't interview him before, you can't wait. You can't this week, and you got to wait till the end.
Yeah.
And now, how many of these teams with the 4 openings are going to be willing to wait 2 weeks to be able to potentially hire Clint Kubiak, at which point he'd have to assemble a staff when 9 other organizations are assembling staffs and they're struggling to fill these positions. So the win yesterday helped Seattle get to the Super Bowl. That's exactly what you want and should have done, but it hurt his chances of becoming head coach.
So I thought he was great. I think if you're the Rams and you go back to that 3rd and 4th down late in the game, they go on that huge drive, right? And you're sitting there and you're going, here he goes again. Stafford's going to go find a way to get that game-winning drive. One, I agree with the decision to go for it and go for it on 4th and goal. Who are we? We've got the MVP. We've got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Who are we playing against? Our defense can't get a stop.
Right.
So I think going for it's the right thing. Here's the thing that's my biggest issue with it. The ball never once went to Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. In that situation, when you get a 3rd down and 4th down on back-to-back,
it's players.
You got the ball. And I understand defenses do things. The ball has to, at one point, go to one of those 2 guys over the course of those 2 plays. It has to.
So you're saying players over plays.
Listen, Rex knows this. Any coach, you know, when it's that time, it's players, not players.
The ball's got to go to
It's got to go to one of those guys, and that was to me that was the error in the whole philosophy.
So the Rams, who for much of this year we thought was the best team in the NFL, come up short again in Seattle. Those 2 teams played 3 classics this year, and in the end, by this much, it's the Seahawks who go to the Super Bowl. And so let's circle it back to them. D. Wood, you're very close to the New York Jets. So you obviously were around Sam Darnold when he was drafted, number 3 overall. He was drafted behind Baker Mayfield, ahead of Josh Allen, ahead of Lamar Jackson in what is a legendary quarterback class. And as a starter, and actually Darnold has been to the Super Bowl, pardon me, as a backup with San Francisco, but that's, for the purposes of this conversation, not what's important. He winds up being the first one to get there. Allen hasn't led his team to the Super Bowl. Lamar has not led his team to the Super Bowl. And now Sam Darnold has the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
It's amazing. It truly is amazing. First of all, what a class. What a quarterback class that 2018 class was. But it's just, you know, what this speaks of is that development isn't linear in the National Football League. Here it is. Sam Darnold comes into the league, number 3 overall. I was watching him at training camp. They're like, this dude has all the talent in the world. Didn't have the proper infrastructure around him with the Jets. Then he traveled, then he moves on to the other couple of different stops. Obviously, when he lands in San Francisco, things start to pick up. Then he gets to Minnesota. That's when things start taking off. But just the journey, that's the thing that I appreciate most about what Sam Darnold has accomplished. It's the journey. And think about this. In this same class, and I touched on it on the last show, was Josh Allen. He has to be kicking his butt, knowing the fact that you had control of the AFC East. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, for 5 years, and you have nothing to show for it. Nothing. And now Mike Vrabel comes in year 1 and has taken the Patriots back to the Super Bowl. You don't think that Mike Vrabel and what the Patriots have done played into Sean McDermott not being in Buffalo right now? That, to me, it's just crazy how everything has worked out in its quarterback class.
Shefty is nodding his head.
That was part of the reason I believe they moved on from Sean McDermott, because not only did they fail to reach the conference championship game in the Super Bowl, but they're watching their division rival that had been a doormat in recent years come in, win the division, get to the conference championship game. now get to a Super Bowl. So how is it that Drake May has gotten to a Super Bowl before Josh Allen? How can that be?
Because they gave up 15 points a game in the playoffs.
Okay, but it happened.
And a lot of things come into it, and this is not meant as necessarily a knock at Sean McDermott, because there's a million reasons why they lost a million games, and not all of them are coaching. But the other team I'm thinking of today, we talk about Minnesota and how they feel now letting go of Sam Darnold. I'm certainly glad Tennessee fired Mike Vrabel, right?
Yeah.
You sit and think about like decisions that get made. How does that look? And now, in hindsight, how about the job that Mike Vrabel has done getting this team back to the
amazing.
Super Bowl?
Like, this is about as good a coaching job as I've ever seen. And this team's won 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that?
9-0 on the road.
9-0 on the road, 17 games from a team that won 4 the year before. And here's why, when I say the greatest coaching job I've ever seen. Because you know how many players improved? Every single one of them. It's not just about the people you bring in. All right? It wasn't, in which they made some great moves of bringing in players. They're not the difference. It was the guys on their team that improved are the difference, and that's coaching.
You said they won 4 games last year. They won 4 games the last 2 years. And if they win the Super Bowl, they'll win as many games this postseason as they won in each of the last 2 years.
How many games have Tennessee won since they fired Vrabel?
Far fewer. Coming up, it is Mike Vrabel versus Mike McDermott. After 144 days of football, we finally have our matchup for Super Bowl 60, and it is an appropriate number. Look at the odds on these teams in the preseason. For Super Bowl 60, they were each 60-1 to get there. It's the first Super Bowl in over 50 years between two teams that entered the year with odds that long. That's why I said it is the unlikeliest Super Bowl that we have ever seen. So, Dan, if you're going to get a quick big picture on it, here we're 13 days away from Super Bowl 60, but a quick big picture on it. You got Darnold on one side, you got May on the other, you got the two coaches, you got an interesting contrast in styles. Quick big picture on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, advantage Seattle right now. Obviously, it'll be a defensive showcase between both teams, that both defenses are playing a high level. But with the way that Darnold has been playing and played last night, in comparison to the Patriots offense and really the Drake May kind of playoff run right now, you'd sit there and say, you need more out of New England's offense because it has not been good enough.
See, my couple thoughts is I think Mike Vrabel's going to want Sam Darnold to beat him. I think he's going to try to take away Kenneth Walker III, who's been a big part of Seattle's offense. And, look, we also got to look at the defenses that Drake May has gone against in the playoffs.
Yes.
He's gone against the Chargers. He's gone against the Texans and the Broncos. Yeah. Those are like 3 of the top 5 defenses in the league.
Oh, guess who's number 1?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's that's no problem for Drake May, I believe. He'll know how to manage
but they'll need more out of him.
They'll need more.
Totally.
But I'm banking on Mike Vrabel saying, we're going to see if Sam Darnold can beat our defense.
Well, I think it is interesting because the best defense on the field might not be Seattle's. All right, New England, during these 3 playoff games, have allowed 26 points. All right? That's 3 playoff games, 26 points.
Right.
You know when the last time that was done? That was the 2000 Ravens.
I understand.
That defense is pretty decent. So, to me, they don't get the credit that they deserve. And I think, look, the snow obviously has played factors into it. I think Drake May will be just fine. They better help that left tackle who can't block me. If they do that, they'll have a chance.
You're talking about Will Campbell.
Will Campbell.
What do you think of him at left tackle?
You know what I think
Rex
of him at left tackle.
Rex does not have a high opinion on him.
I think he'd be a hell of a center playing left tackle.
Look, all things are relative, right? So Drake May has struggled in this postseason. He's gone up against, as you pointed out, 3 outstanding defenses. The Patriots' defense has been extraordinary. They've gone against 3 less than spectacular offenses, right? The Chargers were a shell of themselves offensively pretty much all year long. C.J. Stroud had one of the worst games that we've ever seen anyone play in the postseason. And yesterday, Jarrett Stidham hadn't thrown a pass in 2 years. So I'm not trying to take anything away from what the Patriots did. I'm saying let's see what they do against Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba and that offense.
Yeah, and an offense right now that's hot, and an offense right now that is capable of doing whatever it wants, whenever it wants. The offensive line for Seattle played great. Kubiak was outstanding. They got 2 receivers that are big time, multiple tight ends. And now they have a quarterback that not only has this, at least from now or to this moment, a huge monkey off his back, but he's going to go into these playoffs or into the Super Bowl as confident as a quarterback can be.
Shefty, final word.
Yeah, I just know that when the Seahawks and Patriots play in the Super Bowl, that when you're around the goal line, you hand off the ball.
That's right. It is certainly a reminder, and we'll have it for you a little bit later. Take us back to the last time these teams played in the Super Bowl, one of the most famous plays ever made by Malcolm Butler. All right, we have much, much more on the NFL. We're practically wall-to-wall all morning long, but this weekend, huge.